So now that we have a rationale for why it is, I mean, aside from because we tell you so, which is pretty crappy reasoning, but a rationale anyway for why it is that you need C++, the very first place to start before we even get into coding in C++ or cracking open the book for C++. By the way, this is one of my 300 mentions for session one here of class. Get the book, get the book, get the book. Go check the syllabus podcast, go check the syllabus, or go check the announcement page to find out what the book is, or simply head over to the Rock Valley College bookstore and grab your copy from there. There is also a textbook, video, or podcast you should have. Well, I think that you will see actually in the modules list down below, just so that I can say it one of those 300 times. But before we get to any of that stuff that we will see in the textbook, we should talk about developers' environments, or developers' environments and code writing platforms. Now, um, I want this video here up at the very top of this page that you are on because everybody, and we have taught you to do this in academics. We have taught you to be hyper linear. Start at the top and work your way down. Now I'm going to, and I hate to do this to you, I'm going to say this 100 times in the course of our C++ course here, which is you'll start at the top and you work your way down. And what I'm here to tell you is the answer to, do I need a developer's environment? Do I have to install a code writing or a text editing platform here? And the answer is no. For this class, we will not need to install a text editing or an IDE, which I explain here in the rest of the page. What we are going to use is a platform called Replit, REPL.IT. It's actually a website, https:// you get the idea, repl.it. The benefit to using Replit is as follows. If I have you install a developer's environment, some of us have desktop or laptop hardware that frankly we're going to ask a little bit too much of if we have you install an IDE. Now, for C++, the IDE of note is Visual Studio. We can either go the community route or we can go the full Visual Studio route because we would have access to that here at Rock Valley through our Microsoft Academic Alliance or Developers Alliance, I forget what it's called, agreement. And that's all well and good, but I will tell you it takes somewhere in the neighborhood of, if you do a really skinny install, 8 gigabytes. If you are not paying attention to the prompts, 14 gigabytes, and that's before we put in the C++ environment. That's big. And the problem is if you have, like I have a very limited storage, I have a laptop for my Windows PC, that's going to ask a lot of the storage there. If you have an older PC, that's going to ask a lot there. The problem also is if you're on a Mac, that's not a problem. I'm actually on a Mac recording all of this. I love having them because I never have to worry if they're going to function properly. They always do, as opposed to my Windows PC. Just in case you were curious, yes, there will be more defecation, verbal defecation on Windows PCs because they suck. And there's nothing you can do about it. But here on a Mac, we have a slightly different developer's environment. Really, we would be using Xcode here on a Mac. If you are on a Chromebook, historically, you are out of luck. I've just spent the last 2 months trying to use a Chromebook as my my daily driver so that I can give to students the best possible courses of action for how to use their Chromebook here for Rock Valley College full time. And I'll tell you, it's honestly a painful experience. And it's even more painful when it comes to, well, what can we do to install a developer's environment? Well, there aren't any good ones. Well, what can we do to have a text editor on there that's any good? There really aren't any good ones. Replit solves that problem for us by being an online platform. Now, um, I don't think that you should take my word for it just because I'm saying this is the platform we're using, although you will not have a choice. It's the platform that we are using. I want just to mention that number one, if you sign up for an account, which they do make you do, sign up with your Rock Valley College email, and you don't have to worry about a ton of like additional emails coming your way from the platform. I actually have 3 accounts for Replit just because as an instructor, when I do these videos, I change the code and I don't want the base samples to be changed. So I have 2 different accounts for those. And then one more for further testing. And to date, I have gotten a total of 11 emails. I just went and checked before hitting record on this video. 11 emails across 3 accounts and probably 6 years of using Replit for this class and a host of other ones. They are not going to inundate you with email junk and garbage. They make their money on huge multinational platforms that use their platform. The freebies like us, they're really not that concerned with, so you don't get a lot of junk and garbage from them. If at all, it's all of the changes in terms of service in your confirmation email. That's about it. The other thing I'll say is if you're on a Mac, if you're on a PC, if you are on a Chromebook, if you are on an iPad, whatever, as long as you have the ability to type, you will have the ability to type in the Replit window for code, and it does syntax highlighting, it does the compiling, it does the linking, it has all the pre-compiler stuff that we need, and we don't have to worry about it. So if you're on a high-powered machine, great, it's going to run great. If you're on a low-powered machine, great, it's going to run great. If you're on a Mac, on a PC, on if you're my 1 or 2 Linux weirdos this semester, great, it's going to run great. So we use Replit. Now, in a real development environment where you are producing products for customers and clients, pretty typically we would shy away from an exclusively online platform. There's nothing to install with Replit. That takes more faith than I would have in an exclusively online environment. And I'm squinting right past GitHub at this very moment, and I understand that, but with good reasons. So the rest of this page, I explain some of the different developers' environments. Notepad++, Atom, and brackets as far as just text editors go. Eclipse and NetBeans, text editors plus. Visual Studio, Xcode, things like that. But at the end of the day, you don't have to install any of those. I want you to know that they exist. I want you to understand a couple of their idiosyncratic components. But aside from that, we are using Replit, which is a developer's environment. It's just online. It is a text editor. It will do syntax highlighting, etc., code completion, auto sense, all of those great things that make modern development not a huge pain in the butt. But here on the developers environments page, you'll at least be preliminarily exposed to some of those other considerations, and those are all for the better. It's best that you know them. It's not best in this environment that we use them.